Hello everyone and welcome to the studios of WJHI. I'm Kirsten Elder, and to cap off a special week here at Jeff High, we are joined by a very special guest. Miss Norma Miller-Betts was a graduate of Jeffersonville High School from the class of 1935. She's the oldest living graduate here at Jeff High at 105 years old. How are you doing today, Miss Norma?
Okay.
And to start us off here, just take us through your upbringing and some of the stuff that you remember from your early childhood.
I wear hearing aids, and I don't hear real good,
So we're going to ask about your early childhood and what you kind of went through in the early years that you can remember.
I'm afraid I'm not going to be on the ball, so I can't hear it.
Oh, okay. What she's
You
asking, she's asking about your early childhood when you grew up here in Jeffersonville. What was that like?
Well, I was born in New Albany, and when I was 4, I moved to Jeffersonville. Stayed there till I was 27. Got married. My father was in the ice cream business, and he always sponsored any plays or anything going on here. He always had his ad in the paper. So what would you like for me to tell about anything particular?
As a kid, you went through some historical events. Can you tell us maybe about the Great Depression, since you lived through that?
The graduation?
The Great Depression.
Great Depression.
Oh, the Great, see how I told that couldn't well, it was bad, but not that my father was a businessman, and so, but I had friends that lost their homes, and that was terrible. I had a real close playmate, and they lost their home and they had to move away, and that was very impressive for me.
And in the Jeffersonville area, we had the flood of 1937, and that was right after you graduated high school. Can you tell us about that?
37 flood. What was it like living through the 37 flood?
We had to get out of our house, and we were Port Fulton. I don't know whether it's still called Port Fulton or not, is it?
I'm
Port
not sure.
Fulton?
Not sure.
Well, anyway, Jeffersonville was 90% underwater, and it was 10 feet over the top of my father's business, the ice cream factory. And we were in the house up in Port Fulton, 21 of us, and there was, I think, 3 dogs. And every day we had to go, somebody had to go to the commissary and pick up our food. And I had never experienced in my life to be hungry. And I remember one night, we slept on the floor because there weren't enough beds. And one night I told my mother, I said, I sure would like to have something to eat. And she said, there is nothing in this house to eat. So it was kind of bad, and you wouldn't dare go out of the house at nighttime, because if you did and walked around in the dark, they may shoot you or pretend to shoot you. And we were up at the house. Port Fulton was 10% out of the water. And we were there 10 days. And we went back home on the 10th day, and it was my brother's birthday. And we had a jar of olives and a couple of weenies. and that was about it. Oh, I think we had bread. But the water was up to the last step on the front porch. The basement was full. You just opened the basement door, and if you stepped out, you stepped right in water. And it was rough, but we got through it. My father lost a lot of inventory, yeah.
also during World War II, can you tell us about that?
World War II, what was that like?
World War II, as well, I don't know if you call me a war bride. No, I wasn't a war, well, yes, I would guess I was. I was buried in 44 and lived down in Jacksonville. My husband was in the Navy Air Corps. And it was a happy day when the war ended and we got to come back home. Yeah.
Can you tell us about how that changed the U.S.?
How did World War II change things in the United States?
In the United States?
Yeah, just in general.
Well, we had a hatred for the Japanese. Yeah.
And as you went through your high school life and beyond, did you stay around Jeff or did you move out?
After you left Jeff High, where all did you end up moving to?
Where did I go to get back to here? I'm back where I started from. Yeah, of course I was born in New Albany, but when I was 4, I moved to Jeff. What'd you ask me?
Well, then after you graduated from Jeff High, where did you go from there?
Well, that was 35, and I worked for my father for a while, and he couldn't get the help, so he gave up the business for the duration of the war. And in the meantime, my husband, my boyfriend at the time, I was out of a job, and so I thought, well, and he said, come on down to Jacksonville, because he was in the Naval Air Station. And he was teaching officers, and he had been in Trinidad for 2 years. And he was so glad to get back in the States. And so I married, and we came back and started a family, and I had 3 children altogether. She's my baby. Where is she? That's my baby, yeah. So I moved to Cincinnati. My husband's job transferred him up there. And we lived in Cincinnati, and then I moved to Columbus, Ohio, and I lived there 48 years. And then I got old, and my daughter kept saying, I lived in a mobile home in Columbus, and so my daughter, she said, come on down here and live here, because it's kind of hard to keep. It was a 3-bedroom trailer. So I've been here 5 years now.
And in your lifetime, you've seen a lot of changes. So if you could tell us what a normal day looked like for you back in like your teenage years?
Well, okay. What was the day like for you when you were a teenager? What was your day like?
Teenager, boys. And I loved to dance. And I just thought too much of a good time instead of hitting the books, you know. So I did okay, though.
And also in American history, you've seen a lot of stuff like the Civil Rights Movement. Can you tell us about America at that time?
Like during the Civil Rights Movement of the 1960s, did you have...
It didn't pertain to me in any way.
So you're known as a world traveler. You visited 45 states and 3 different continents. What's your favorite destination or memory from those places?
My favorite place to visit, or what?
Favorite place to visit. Or your favorite memory from any of the places that you visited.
Well, my husband and I, we love to travel, both of us. This is my second husband. The first one did. And every summer we'd go someplace, and I've been to Europe twice, 10 countries, and Alaska and Hawaii, and we traveled a lot, and I still would like to, I'd still like to go on another cruise. I said one more cruise before I go, so I don't know whether I'll make it even or not.
Hopefully you will.
My other daughter lives in Florida in the winter, and in the summer she's up near, it's Akron, New York, and it's right out of Buffalo. And her husband is dying. He's on his deathbed right now. And when that happens, then she's going to drive from Buffalo through here, pick me up, and take me down. She said she couldn't walk in a, house by herself. But I stay with her quite a bit. Once or twice a year, I go down there. I love Florida. Yeah.
And living to 105, not many people make it to that marker in life, so tell us about what life is like for you at 105.
What's it like to be 105?
I'm 105.
And what's that like?
What's it like? It's not bad. It has its perks.
I want to take this opportunity. We are so glad that you were able to come to Jeffersonville High School and visit with us. And we wanted to kind of mark this, commemorate it, if you want to call it that, and at least leave you with something and to take with you. So on behalf of Jeffersonville High School, I want to recognize you, Norma Miller-Betts, as being the oldest Jeff High alumni, and bestow upon you the distinction of Honorary Queen of the Red Devil Nation. And so there's a certificate for you to take with you.
How nice. Norma Miller-Betts.
And we understand that you've brought some stuff with you today?
Honorary Queen.
Yes.
Oh, that's great. And
That's,
who is that?
That's Mrs. Hall. She's the principal here at Jeff
Oh.
High. And then this is, of course, signed by Reggie Red Devil, the mascot.
Is she here?
Reggie is not here. Reggie went on early vacation.
Oh, Reggie. Well, thank you. That is very nice.
Thank you for coming in. And the last question I have
It was
to
my
ask.
pleasure.
I have to ask one last question for
Maybe
you.
if I'd done a little bit better if I had known in advance what
You did
thought
fine.
more about
You're doing
it.
fine.
I still would like to know if that's Bill Johnson
I'm certain it is. I'm
is the
certain
one.
I'm certain it is.
Yeah, Bill Johnson.
What life advice would you give for somebody in our age group?
I brought a few things. Did you see them?
No, and when you get ready, we'll let you show those here in a minute.
Oh.
What advice do you have for young people today?
Don't even think of trying drugs. That's my worst concern. I mean, if they just start out so innocent, they go, it's not going to hurt them, and it ends up dead. That's terrible.
Sound
We
advice
had
for
not,
sure.
didn't have to worry about anything like that. Drugs is aspirin.
Now, we understand you brought some things with you that you'd
Yeah.
like to, just to show.
Yeah, can we bring those over?
This is my well-worn diploma, and I think the rats got in. I don't know what happened to it.
I'm gonna take this. I want to hold this up as much as I can to let everybody see. This is, yeah, there you go. her high school diploma from here at Jeffersonville High School from back in the day.
1935.
1935. Okay. All right. Let's see what else we have here.
And there is my ring.
Oh.
You can take it out if you want to. 19 on one side and 35 on the other.
Class ring from here at Jeff High.
I wonder what they look like now.
Oh,
Very.
they're similar.
They haven't changed much.
Not a lot.
And that is the same thing in a pin. And,
Oh, okay.
And that was the sorority that I'm.
Okay.
Now, here's what I look like. That's what I look like when I graduated.
All righty. I don't think you've aged hardly at all.
I think there's a little bit of difference. And I wrote, this is my autobiography.
Oh my, well, we won't have time to obviously read all of that, but if someday, somehow we could
That's
maybe
all
get
in
even
it.
if it's a photocopy, it's a really love that.
Well, we want to thank you for coming in and
Well, it
joining
was
us
my
today.
pleasure.
Thank you very much. And it was so nice to meet you. I'm so glad you were able to make it today. And a reminder to you, you can watch this interview more on cable channel 184 on our social media and on 98.5 FM, WJHI.com, and on the Red Devil Network.